Right now at noon, a deadly mid-air collision as an American Airlines flight collides with a military aircraft above Washington, D.C.
A rainy couple of days leads into a sunny, warmer weekend.
And some managers in a Joplin-based company plead guilty in a criminal enterprise.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Noe. First responders who so far pulled more than 24 victims from the water after last night's collision between an American Airlines passenger jet and a military helicopter near Washington, D.C. say they do not believe anyone survived the tragedy. The jet traveling from Wichita, Kansas was preparing to land at Ronald Reagan National Airport when it collided with an Army helicopter. Natalie Brand has the latest.
Washington, D.C.'s fire chief says the rescue mission in the Potomac River has now turned to a recovery operation.
At this point, we don't believe there are any survivors from this accident.
EarthCam video shows the moment a commercial passenger jet and an Army helicopter collided in midair just before 9 p.m. near Reagan National Airport outside Washington, D.C.
Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river.
Video obtained by CBS News shows what air traffic controllers would have seen. The Black Hawk at the top of the screen appears to move directly in the path of the jet operated by PSA Airlines.
We don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft.
President Donald Trump is pushing for an explanation.
We'll find out how this disaster occurred and we'll ensure that nothing like this ever happens again.
The Army says the Black Hawk helicopter was on a training flight with 3 service members on board. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on social media that the DoD is actively investigating.
It was a fairly experienced crew and that was doing a required annual night evaluation.
This is the first major commercial crash in the United States in around 16 years. Officials are hoping the black box flight recorder helps investigators figure out what happened.
Anytime you have 2 airplanes close together, they will then go to visual separation. The real question, of course, is why did that visual separation break down to this disaster that we have right now?
A number of figure skaters, along with their coaches and parents, were among those on board the plane, including 6 people from the skating club of Boston.
2 coaches, 2 teenage athletes, and the athletes' moms. It's a close, tight bond, and I think for all of us, we have lost family.
In a statement, U.S. Figure Skating says, quote, "We are devastated by this unspeakable tragedy and hold the victims' families closely in our hearts." Natalie Brand, CBS News, Reagan National Airport.
The Reagan National Airport resumed flight operations late this morning, and the airport says some flights have been delayed or canceled, so passengers should check with their airline for specific flight information. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly released a statement on the tragic plane crash, saying in part, quote, "I'm deeply saddened by the tragic loss of lives last night and extend my deepest condolences to the victims' families and loved ones. I have been in constant communication with federal, state, and local officials overnight and want to thank the over 300 first responders from across the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area for their response efforts," end quote. The governor went on to say that a flag order has been issued today to acknowledge the lives lost. Now let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney for a look at the forecast.
Well, we've had a rainy morning so far. A little bit more showers to come over the early afternoon hours, so the next couple of hours. We start to dwindle in the rain, but temperatures are starting to warm up. Mid-50s, 55 in Joplin, Miami, Oswego, 54 in Chanute, 53 in Neodesha. So mid to lower 50s. It's getting pretty warm out there. Winds are going to pick up as well as we head into this afternoon and evening. You can see that front is starting to push through, that low pressure system moving off to the east. Then winds gust behind it. 25 to 30 miles per hour. So that's going to continue through Friday morning. We also have another little spike in rain in the morning as well. So we're right about noon. That rain's coming through, and then we drop down for another hour or so with another spike there about 5 p.m. with some isolated showers that are going to be passing through the afternoon and into tomorrow morning. Not expecting a lot more rain as we head into the rest of the day. Only about 1/10 of an inch out there in the west, so Kansas and Oklahoma, and then out in Missouri and Arkansas. maybe half an inch to another inch of rain. Not a ton, but still going to see a good bit more. Now, after all of the rain clears out Friday, temperatures are only warming up to the low 50s because we are seeing that cooler temperature drop because of the low pressure system that just passed. And then we have another warm up Saturday, 60 degrees. Sunday, 65 degrees, and it's going to be mostly sunny both of those days after all the rain clears out Friday afternoon. So we're looking great for the weekend, and then more rain chances after that. I'm going to have a full look forecast coming up.
All right, Lindsay, thanks. Well, several people involved in the management of a Joplin corporation pled guilty in a conspiracy concerning undocumented workers. The company is Joplin-based Specialty Foods Distribution, a wholesale Mexican food products and restaurant supply company. Authorities say some company employees created and maintained a network of restaurants operating under multiple LLCs in Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma that were serviced by Specialty Foods Distribution. But prosecutors claim some managers conspired to staff these restaurants with unauthorized workers. Now, those 7 have pleaded guilty in federal court to their roles in a racketeering conspiracy to transport, hire, and harbor undocumented workers in several Midwestern states. They include a partial owner of the company, Jose Luis Bravo of Claremore, Oklahoma. Also, company president Jose Guadalupe Razo of Carl Junction, Missouri, CFO Anthony Edward Dahl and controller Miguel Turin Martinez, both of Joplin. Plus a Great Bend, Kansas woman and 2 citizens of Mexico. Each defendant admitted they were part of a RICO conspiracy from 2018 to 2021 that transported and employed Mexican, Guatemalan, and El Salvadorian nationals who were not authorized to live or work in the United States. Specialty Foods reached out to KOAM with a statement addressing the legal proceedings. It says in part, quote, the investigation and prosecution found no involvement by Specialty Foods Distribution, Inc., which fully cooperated with the inquiry, end quote. Well, school districts respond to concerns related to nationwide immigration policy changes. The Pittsburgh School District sent its ICE protocol to staff and parents yesterday. The district clarified, stating they are unaware of ICE going into any public schools across the nation. Like Kansas education officials stated last week, they'll follow state and federal laws that protect the privacy of students. Authorities would have to have parental consent or a lawfully issued court order to get any information. The school district says, quote, as always, the safety and well-being of our students is our #1 priority. And coming up, recycling revamp, how a Pittsburgh recycling nonprofit is changing its program in order to serve the community better. And later, we're making sriracha short ribs in the Mr. Food test kitchen. An investigation is underway after a woman taken to the Ottawa County Jail sustained serious injuries. In a statement by the Ottawa County Sheriff David Dean, it says that on January 22nd, a woman was transported to the Miami Integris Hospital for a possible overdose. While there, she reportedly became aggressive with medical staff and was arrested for probable battery of a medical professional. After being medically cleared, she was taken to the Ottawa County Jail. The woman arrived unable to walk due to what authorities say was symptoms of intoxication and was placed under video monitoring. Authorities say she continued to be aggressive. She was not in general population and placed where she could be observed. The sheriff says she struck her head, was seen by a jail nurse, and transported back to the hospital on January 23rd for evaluation. She was then returned to the jail and placed under medical watch with check-ins every 15 minutes. Still showing signs of intoxication, the woman missed her Friday, January 24th court appearance, and her condition remained unchanged over the weekend. On Monday, January 27th, she was taken to court in a wheelchair, still unable to walk. She could not explain her injuries, including 2 black eyes. The judge, with agreement from the district attorney, released her on a own recognizance bond for medical treatment. Now, in a statement, Sheriff Dean goes on to say, in part, quote, it was reported to me on Monday that the woman may have been seriously injured while detained in the Ottawa County Jail. My office has begun a preliminary investigation into the matter. At this time, it does not appear that any person assaulted the woman. I have requested the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation to conduct an independent investigation, end quote. Now, Sheriff Dean says he will not make any further statements pending the outcome of the OSBI investigation. Well, Southeast Kansas Recycling Center has plans to revamp. The nonprofit brings in about 900 tons of recyclable materials annually, helping prevent the Pittsburgh landfill from overfilling and releasing pollutants into the community. Now, they're in the process of clearing out e-waste to make room for future projects. During their cleanup process, they won't be accepting e-waste items or donations to their reuse shop.
Don't produce valuable goods on the back end. E-waste is a good example of that. We accept them with the idea in mind that we're trying to keep materials out of the landfill.
The recycling center is accepting volunteers from February to March to help with the cleanup process. And still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
What's hot but not too hot and is made in an old hula hoop factory? Got any ideas?
And we have another warm-up coming up this weekend. I'm going to have those details right after this. Well, rain started late last night, and we've had rain showers all morning along with some pretty dense fog. Let's go ahead and take a look outside. Downtown Pittsburgh, you can see it's still a little rainy and still pretty foggy out there, and that's going to continue till early afternoon, about 1, 2, 3 p.m. And after that, we're finally going to see a little bit of a break as we head into the weekend. Now, the fog will continue, patchy fog throughout most of the afternoon. You can see out in the Pittsburgh area, still getting a little bit of that fog, less than half-mile visibility. Chanute, Fredonia, Iola, that's going to continue lightening up a little bit, but still out in the Kansas area, that fog kind of moves through as everything starts to evaporate. Now, we haven't seen a ton of rain out in the Kansas and Oklahoma side. Less than an inch of rain, and they've seen a lot more fog than the Missouri side has, but the Missouri side has seen a lot more rain. You can see just east of Carthage got over 1.5 inches of rain so far. Going to see some more, and then the Joplin area got about 1 inch, where we still have one more big shower to push through in the next couple of hours. That's going to be continuing through about 6 p.m. before we start to shift to just cloudy skies. And then temperatures fall from mid-50s all the way down to upper 40s for the overnight low. Now, we're not dropping down too much. Our overnight low is only getting down to mid to lower 40s. So let's take a look at our future track. We've got these rain showers that are continuing to pass by over the next couple of hours. Then we lighten up mid-afternoon, few more showers kind of popping up near Yates Center, Parsons, Chanute, all the way up in those northern counties. Those are going to fire off until about 9 p.m. before clearing out. Then overnight, we'll have a few isolated showers, but really most of us are going to stay dry. And again, our overnight lows dropping down to low 40s, overcast skies, and then that next round of rain starts to push through early Friday morning. So about 6 a.m. hitting our northern counties, and then as it moves in, dissipates really quickly, makes it all the way to about Parsons, Chanute, maybe even Pittsburgh before it's completely out of our area. And then the clouds start to clear. Temperatures by 3 p.m. getting up to the low to mid 50s, about 53 in Joplin, 55 Miami, Parsons, 53 in Yates Center, 50 in Nevada. But you can see by 3 p.m. clouds are starting to clear off. We're going to have mostly sunny skies and winds out of the north. Not to mention, we have another drastic warm up this weekend. It is going to be beautiful. So we have temperatures low 50s tomorrow, low 60s on Saturday, and then mid 60s on Sunday, along with mostly sunny skies. It is going to be a really great looking weekend. We just have to make it through these next couple of days of these scattered shower chances, morning showers, a little bit of fog, and then we have a nice couple of days, Saturday and Sunday, before our next chance of rain starts Monday evening, Tuesday, and then heavy rain on Wednesday. That's going to be our highest chance of rain, 30% so far. A little bit of a lull there on Thursday, and then you can see Friday and Saturday more rain kicks back off, but temperatures do start to warm back up by next weekend. So we have a lot of rain chances, no snow or ice chances, but definitely warmer temperatures outside of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those are going to be our cooler days this week, but we have to make it through a couple more rainy days before we get to a warm, sunny weekend.
Well, stick around. We're making sriracha short ribs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. We'll be right back. Howard's making sriracha short ribs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If you haven't heard about, tasted, or embraced sriracha yet, then what in the world are you waiting for? What started as a spicy sauce that was mostly found in Asian cooking is now everywhere. It's actually pronounced sriracha, but most of us just say sriracha. So here are the basics. Sriracha can best be described as a cross between ketchup and hot sauce. In the U.S., it's made from red jalapeno chili peppers and garlic in a factory outside of LA that used to make hula hoops. Today, we find it not only in our markets, but in everything from fast food favorites to all sorts of snack foods. An ounce per ounce, sriracha sauce is about 20% less than the cost of traditional hot sauce. So with all it has going for it, you can bet we're seeing it in more and more recipes. Recipes like these short ribs that are not only fall apart tender, but the combo of the sriracha, honey, and the lime makes them irresistible. No, not too hot, but I would say super flavorful and a nice change of pace. The recipe for our sriracha short ribs is online now and is ready for you to add a little spice to your life, or shall I say to your table. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a sriracha kind of way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
Well, temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer, mid-50s today, although we have rainy skies continuing till mid-afternoon. Now, rain finally clears out early Friday morning by about 7 a.m. Temperatures are only warming up to the low 50s tomorrow, but Saturday and Sunday, 60s and sunny all weekend long.
All right, certainly not a bad weekend at all.
Sounds great, for sure.
Absolutely. What do you have for us later on, Dale?
Well, at 40 years ago, New York State became the first in the country to mandate seatbelt use for drivers, front seat passengers, and children under age 10. Today, seatbelts are used by more than 90% of car occupants and save an estimated 15,000 lives every year. We're going to look at the history. Plus, residents of Arma, Kansas are speaking out after a decision by the fire chief to eliminate 2 firefighting programs. We're going to hear why some residents are saying the changes negatively impact the city and its firefighting services. And Columbian Elementary kindergartners in Carthage celebrate their 100th day of school. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more KOAM News at 5.
All right, thanks, Dale. And that's the news for now. Have a great rest of your day.